I was just a nanny for the wealthiest family in Greenwich. I cleaned their messes and kept my mouth shut. But when my boss, Mr. Sterling, tried to blame me for his $2 million embezzlement, he made one fatal mistake. He forgot that a nanny hears everything, and she records even more. He thought I was just the help. Today, I'm the one holding the evidence that will turn his empire into ashes. Before I show you the contents of the red folder that destroyed a billionaire, my name is Maya, and for 3 years, I was a ghost in the Sterling Ransion. To them, I wasn't a human being. I was a living appliance. Mr. Sterling was a hedge fund titan, the kind of man who bought politicians for breakfast. His wife was a socialite who spent more time with her plastic surgeon than with her own kids. I knew everything. I knew Mr. Sterling's mistress's private number. I knew where he hid his offshore bank tokens. And most importantly, I knew about the red folder in his private library. The atmosphere in that house was suffocating. Money didn't bring happiness. It brought a cold, calculated paranoia. Mr. Sterling would pace his office until 4 a.m., screaming into his encrypted phone about cleaning the trail and liquidating assets. I'd be in the kitchen at 3 a.m. making a bottle for the baby, listening to every word through the brass vents. One night, he caught me. I was standing near the library door when he swung it open. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked at me not like a boss, but like a predator measuring a threat. He started playing mind games. He'd leave $1,000 in cash under the sofa cushions to see if I'd take it. He'd leave his phone unlocked on the kitchen counter to see if I'd peek. I never touched them. I was playing a much longer game. I started a secret digital diary, logging every date, every car that arrived at midnight, and every name I heard whispered in those hallways. I knew a storm was coming, and in the Sterling Mansion, you were either the one holding the umbrella or the one getting drowned. Wait until you hear what I found under the floorboards of the nursery. It's the reason I'm still alive today. If you're enjoying this mystery so far, drop a justice in the comments to help the algorithm. The trap was sprung on a rainy Tuesday. I walked into the kitchen to find 3 men in FBI windbreakers and Mr. Sterling looking absolutely devastated. He pointed a trembling finger at me and told the agents, "That's her. She has the digital key. I found it in her nanny bag this morning." My world collapsed. He had planted a hardware wallet containing $2 million in stolen Bitcoin in my room. The officers didn't care about my side of the story. They tossed my tiny bedroom, throwing my family photos on the floor and ripping open my mattress. As they handcuffed me, Mr. Sterling leaned in. The smell of his expensive cologne was nauseating. He whispered, "The help should stay in their place, Maya. Now you're going to spend the next 20 years in a place where no one will hear you scream." I spent 48 hours in a cold holding cell. No one came for me. My parents back in the village didn't even know I was arrested. I felt like a bug crushed under a billionaire's boot. But in the silence of that cell, I started to laugh. Mr. Sterling was arrogant. He thought he had cleared his office. He didn't realize that I had spent months duplicating the red folder page by page whenever I dusted his desk. And I had hidden the original USB drive in the last place a man like him would look, inside his young daughter's favorite stuffed teddy bear, the one she took to her grandmother's house every single weekend. Now I just had to get out of jail before his fixers realized the bear was missing. The secret visitor who showed up at the prison changed everything. If you want to see how this betrayal ends, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. The person who bailed me out wasn't my family. It was Mr. Sterling's ex-wife, Evelyn. She had been watching him for years, waiting for a chance to strike. We drove straight to the grandmother's estate, retrieved the bear, and pulled the USB drive from its stitching. What we found wasn't just embezzlement. It was a map to a criminal empire. The red folder didn't just have financial records, it had recorded conversations of Mr. Sterling bribing the city's top judges and the very police chief who had authorized my arrest. He was building his luxury towers on land that was legally protected, using shell companies to hide the toxic waste he was dumping in the local river. We didn't go back to the police. We went to the national press. The next morning, the Sterling mansion wasn't a home, it was a crime scene. I stood on the sidewalk watching from a distance as a fleet of black SUVs surrounded the property. They didn't just take his files, they seized his cars, his paintings, and his pride. Mr. Sterling tried to run through the back garden, but the FBI had the perimeter locked down. As they led him away in handcuffs, he saw me. I wasn't the invisible girl anymore. I walked up to him, looked him dead in the eye, and handed him one last thing, a printout of my diary. I told him, "You were right, Mr. Sterling. Nobody believes a nanny over a billionaire, but everyone believes a billionaire's own records." The twist? The whistleblower reward was 10% of the seized assets, over $20 million. I didn't just take his freedom, I took his legacy. I bought my parents a house and started a foundation for domestic workers whose bosses have framed them. Mr. Sterling thought he was the king of the world, but he forgot the most basic rule. Never underestimate the woman who raises your children and cleans your house, because she knows where all the bodies are buried. Karma is a masterpiece, isn't it? If you think Mr. Sterling got what he deserved, smash that like button. And if you love stories where the underdog wins, check out the video on your screen right now.